If you have access to multiple translations and even multiple languages, then approximate meaning is something that you can actually get. Understanding of the matter, of the reality, whether there is a God or not, because we do believe there is a God, and we can share our reasons, arguments, if you like. Systematic language in the sense of once you know the grammar and rules, then it follows.
Yes.
There are exceptions to grammar in every language.
Yes.
So if you dedicate your time, and the best way to do it is by going to a country in which people every day in the streets, in the shops, markets speak Arabic, meaning going to a Muslim country where they speak Arabic. I tried learning for years and years and years and years, dry grammar, and then when I wanted to speak to someone about something, I couldn't have a conversation because that's not how I never learned. I learned the grammatical rules.
Yes.
Then I went to a Muslim country, spent there for 1 year, enrolled in a university program, and it followed quite easily because then after the university classes, you can go there, you want to buy something, you're speaking to them in Arabic. I know they want to speak to you in English maybe, that's fine, but you can speak to them in Arabic and so on. So it's a process-driven learning where if you are immersed in an environment, the environment helps you to assimilate the learning much better. Have you tried going to an Arab country, staying there, living? Okay, and then how did you find?
Well, I'm in the process, which is why this seems like an excellent place to get some advice. For example, I am reading through a version of the Quran that I have that's in English, but I'm finding that that's one of the curiosities I have is since I can't write or read fluently in Arabic, how can I be sure to get the true meaning since my education of the language is incomplete?
So the answer to this question for any linguistic text, is this: if you have access to multiple translations and even multiple languages, then approximate meaning is something that you can actually get.
It's a good start.
Yeah, it's a good start. So English has more than 50 or so translation of the Quran in English language alone, more than 50 translations, right?
Yes.
And they're available even at once. If you go online, you can bring all of them together. So when you compare all these translations, some of them translations are done by academics, so give importance to a good academic translation published by, say, Oxford University Press, Cambridge University Press, Yale and Harvard and so on. You know, the academic translations, which they will be, more faithful to the phrases and idioms of the language because they're expert in the language. That's their expertise and proficiency. And I would recommend, those translations at least have side by side to someone who is just simply un-Muslim translating it, for example. Some translations are done by, say, non-Muslims who have captured the meaning as much as possible in a poetic language. For example, A.J. Arbery, the Quran interpreter, the Jewish scholar N.J. Dawood, if you haven't heard about him, his works. This is in the past. In present future, there's many works. I can tell you, I can go to Professor Abdul Halim's translations of the Quran. Okay. You can go to a few other translations. There's an easier translation by called Easy. Is it called the Quran? Al-Khattab's Mustafa Al-Khattab. What's it called? Okay, there's many translations like this. Get a translation of it and then say, okay, fine, let's see what it says. Now, I want to know what it means. Am I able to understand what it's trying to say? Say he is God who is one. Some footnotes. Footnotes number 78. Single, unique, indivisible. Okay? So he's describing about Quran is saying Allah is God who is single, unique, indivisible, one. God, the eternal refuge. There's a footnote there. The one, footnote number 79. The one who sought in times of difficulty and need, and one dependent upon by all existence. That means everyone depends on him. He is one. If you look at other translation, it will say he's absolute. He's independent.
Right.
He is
subtle differences.
Yeah. So because there's one word called samad. The word samad you would not find anywhere else in the Quran. Only occurs once.
So is your team here or group or association? Is your intent to help English speakers become more familiar with the Quran?
Oh, no. They may have a different perspective. My brother here and myself, we come here to speak with people about our most important obligation in life.
Okay.
And how we fulfill that and how we can be saved. You and I believe in God, right? You believe in God?
Well, probably not.
Probably not. Then we also, those people who may not believe in God, have a discussion to see how we can come to a true understanding of the matter, of the reality, whether there is a God or not, because we do believe there is a God, and we can share our reasons, arguments, if you like, proofs and evidence, if you prefer, whichever suits you, to why there is a creator, why there is only one of those creators, and why we're in need of showing gratitude and thanks and worship of our creator, and why we are here and what happens when we die, and how would we fulfill our obligations to have a life successful in this world as well as life which is come in the hereafter, because we don't believe this is it.
Right.
There is another world in which there will be either a place of happiness or torment, so you make yourself where you want to go. So if you don't believe in God, for example, maybe you can share with us and we learn from you what are your reasons of not believing in a creator God of this universe.
Good for you guys. I love your approach. My beliefs are closer to that of Buddhism.
Okay, so what? I know there's lots of branches of Buddhism, but whatever you follow, is there a place of a creator, God, who created the cosmos and created the cycle of life and death, created moksha, created the rules of nirvana?
Well, I'll tell you, at least to me, what's probably even more important than that is that there's room for always trying to learn, because I don't claim to know. I claim to seek.
Yeah.
And that's why I like to speak with everybody, especially when it looks like there's a group that have a good and focused purpose. You guys have a good energy about you. I like what you're doing.
We like you having a discussion with us with an open spirit too, because that's where people learn from each other. And if we didn't do that, then there's always the fear of the other. You know why people are afraid of Islam, as you know from the media, media misrepresentation of it. But if you knew about Islam and you've been in a Muslim country, your perception would change.
Many Muslim friends as well.
Yeah. So, in a Buddhist understanding of the reality, what is that? Do you want to share with us?
Well, to speak to Buddhism is not to speak directly to what's closest to my beliefs. My beliefs just more closely associate with Buddhism.
Okay.
Probably to keep things at a closer level, what is pure to me is that one of the most important things is to try to do no harm, to be fair to each other, to respect each other. Of course, things only go so far before some level of conflict happens, and that's when things can get out of control, if not managed in a appropriate diplomatic way.
Yeah.
So it's more about...
How do you get answers to the existential questions? Who are you? What are you doing here? Yes. And what's going to happen to you when you die?
Yes, and I'll spend my whole life trying to find those answers.
And have you found the answers?
No, not yet.
Right. Okay. So there's a difference between searching and knowing the answer.
Yes, there is.
Islam provides the tools to be settled with contentment and tranquility.
And that's one of the reasons I have 2 copies of the Quran translated to English.
Yeah.
And I asked the question I do initially, because in my efforts to read it, I don't want to get the wrong message because I can't read it in its proper form.
So we are more than happy if you were to, use and consult translations of any languages.
Yes.
You can, or even commentaries of the Quran in any languages to get approximation. But of course, as you are learning Arabic, because you know the best way of learning the Quranic text is to learn the Arabic language, because that's the text of the Quran in that language. So we say, we did not give life to ourselves. Neither can our parents give life to ourselves. I have not given life to anything here, everything that is living. We know the difference between living and non-living. There is a difference. Some people might not see that. I haven't given life to you, for example. My parents haven't given life to me. Life is something, it's an ability where, it's like some kind of force that keeps me living. If suddenly it goes away from it, I'll fall dead. My body will just fall dead. on the ground, it's not going to walk and talk. If I died as a baby, my parents, if they had the ability of giving life, they would have given me life. Every parent would have done that. The fact that no parents can bring life back to their dead baby shows them they did not have the ability to give life. I mean, life is something that is not given by our parents. So what is it that gave us life? And not that only. What is it that's taking away our life? By a program. It's programmed in our DNA. We should die. We should cease to, we should perish. Everything seems to be like that. Nothing is everlasting. So we have a programmed cell death. A process, this is like a program in the DNA. A program doesn't come other than from a programmer, a designer. We don't expect, like even this bottle, to be believed that, this just so happened that it got made like this by no intelligence, no conscious entity, with no will and wisdom behind it. The reasons, what's your name, young man?
Ben.
Ben, do you know why you have this thing?
It's for what? It's like to show you how much water is left. It's like a measure, I think.
Most of the bottles have, can you see the big one there?
Yeah.
Can you see all the scarves? Do you know why? So that once you finish, you can crush it and it becomes so compact, then you can recycle it. Because you have now less volume to have more of the bottles together. If you have a whole bottle like this, it takes a lot of space.
Well, what do we do with the bottles at home when
we get
it's empty?
we collect money to go have cans of bottles, and we'll crush up the bottles and then
exactly.
money.
And then put the cap back on.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So this is purposely designed that way. To consider that this bottle just comes with this kind of intricate design to hold water without any leaks, it's not sensible. That's why I'm saying the whole universe, including the program of ourselves that we die, it is evidence for a designer, a creator, or life giver who has brought us in this existence, in this form, in this particular assembly of complexity and organization. Because complexity can be different types, but when the complexity is organized, right? Organized, like a phone, for example, that you use. It has an intent behind it that you can hear voices of your friend and family or other people transferred in that particular piece from another place. It records picture and lots of things. You can write on it, you can send email. Intent, purpose, complexity, all of that organized. To consider that this phone just came without an organizer, a designer, is not a reasonable thing to believe in.
Pardon me for one moment. So this is a good example. This is my son. It's his first time in London.
Nice meeting you.
Speaker's Corner.
Nice to meet you too.
And he was interested to see what happens here, and I tried to explain to him. This is an excellent example of thoughtful intelligence who have things that they want to share with others, and they're trying to share without hostility.
Which I am
and with respect,
fine with.
Which is wonderful. Thank you for showing a good example to my son, and it being an engaging topic for me personally as well.
Yeah.
And one of great interest.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. So, what would be your reflection on this reasoning? That if things appear to us, sensible people, organized in this assembly, how can it not be the product of a designer?
We have the challenge of correlation versus causation.
Okay, where is the missing link in here?
Oh, I don't know if there is a missing link. Just a caution that we always need to be careful. That
Absolutely.
Just something seems
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Prove it is.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't disagree with your beliefs either.
Yeah.
So there's no conflict there. But I do believe in proof.
Yeah.
Which is always challenging with any form of religion.
Yeah. So when we observe all of this, it's simply just saying there seems to be some correlation but no causation. I mean, what is stopping us from saying actually? Saying it's simply a correlation and not accepting that as a proof?
Probably faith. Probably a faith that doesn't exist.
What proof would be a sufficient proof for knowing there's a designer?
It's a good question.
Because if we are going to limit ourselves only to correlation, not to causation, then we need to ask, what's our scope in our methodology. So the methods that we're using, what in our methodology will give us certainty that if we were to approach in this manner and in this fashion, that we can be sure about it. That yes, there is a causation and there is a designer. So what is that in the methodology? It must be inherent within the methodology that we are using to seek the truth.
Oh, there must be an answer. I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, but so far we know. So far, what do you know so far? You can't just, I mean, we can always remain skeptic because there's always questions. Why? There is no end to questions of why. The only time when your heart can be content, when that why eventually rests on the ultimate explanation, who is the originator of everything. Until it goes and reaches to that level, then you can only ask why. Oh, why is this blue? Because of certain chemicals. Why certain chemicals? Because of this. You can keep on asking and asking, and you can never, it's never ending. But ultimately, these questions can only be resolved with contentment in the heart. Where is he gone? When it goes to...
Let me just make sure I have eyes.
Please do. I mean,
nothing more.
Why don't we... Do you want to just ask him to come back?
Yeah, all right.
And then when you're together, then he can go. He's very curious, of course.
Yes. He's a good lad.
Yeah.
He was only going to go to the
Yeah. He's back.
Oh, he's back. Okay.
So certain...
Just wanted to keep tabs on you.
Yeah, you need to be... Because this is not a well-known territory to you. Do you have a phone?
No.
Exactly. So when you are
That's right.
somewhere around, how they can reach you? So
Yeah, you just said I could be in.
that's fine, but be close together, and then it's much easier. Because otherwise, your parents will be worried.
Oh, you are?
Naturally.
Oh, well, to keep some awareness of where you are,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
regardless of what any of us believe, we love our family.
I thought Mom said
Family is very important in Islam too.
Oh, yes.
Very, very important.
And one of the many reasons why I find it something I...
So, as I was saying, if you don't mind just continuing this point,
Sure.
that the ultimate explanation can be only grounded on this necessary existence. So now you see I'm pulling this necessary existence. Because if something exists now...
I was looking for it.
If something...
Bring you back this.
You weren't.
If something exists now,
We sent them out to find you.
it has to be grounded on a necessary existence. Because there cannot be a time in the past, using this loosely, that there was absolute nothingness. If something exists today...
See, I don't know if I would personally agree that there can't be nothingness.
Okay.
I hope there isn't
Okay,
nothingness. But
let me share with you what I mean by nothingness, and then perhaps you can tell me whether such a nothingness can exist. Nothingness...
I only have my own opinion.
Yeah. So nothingness, according to the best scientists, philosophers, there are 9 different types. Well, I didn't know that, but... Nothingness. To give you an example, you give a present to your son.
Yes.
He opens up the box, and there's nothing. He says, "Where's my present?" There's no present there. That's the level of nothingness. But the box is not nothing. It doesn't contain nothingness. The only thing that's missing is that present. The box contains space. The box contains fluctuations. The box contains gravitational fields. And we go by like this. Eventually, you'll find that it contains even possibilities of being existence. So when we say nothing, nothing is the absence of everything, every matter, space, time, fluctuation, quantum fields, even possibilities. So such a thing is actually describing non-existence, which is absence of everything.
But why would that be impossible to
If such a thing at one point existed non-existence, it doesn't even have the potential to do anything to bring about existence.
I have a question then.
Yeah.
Before we were born, we were nothing.
No, entirely.
We did not exist.
We may not have our physical bodily existence, But our soul could have already, as we believe, existed.
So do you believe in reincarnation?
No, we don't believe in reincarnation. What we believe, once we are created, then we will live in this life, and there will be another life where we will be given body back to us in a different reality. We call it a hereafter, and that life continues forever and forever. God will maintain that existence forever. So this is ongoing that way, but we didn't have eternal past existence. At one point we were nothing. God brought us into existence. So the idea of creation ex nihilo or creation ex materia, whichever you like, we were nothing at one point. But God physically brought us into existence. Only God existed. So God is the ultimate creator, and everything else.
Who created God?
When you say who created God, that statement has a lot of underlying assumptions, such as there was time in which God didn't exist. There was time in which at one point there was something else who had the potential ability to bring about God. Our concept of God is always in existence. So the question of coming into existence is not a sensible question because He's already there, always there. You can ask questions of something that did not have a prior existence. How did it begin to exist? But if God exists always with no beginning, then that question doesn't apply. So God is not created by anyone. God is always in existence. That's what we believe.
Which comes back to faith, though, to some degree.
Not faith. This comes to reason. Reason. I'll tell you when I say absolute nothingness cannot bring about anything. It has no energy of its own. Buddhism or any of the branches of Hinduism, it has an underlying essence of energy. There is energy necessary in which the energy manifests itself. It's, the way they say, how the sun and the rays and so on, the projection of that and so on, because you're all part of that energy, you're not distinct from it. Energy is a necessary condition to believe in this belief system. Nothingness has no energy whatsoever. No power, no energy.
But just
and no
we don't understand something ourselves shouldn't certify that it can't be. Because our minds are not as incredible of computers and processors as we might think they are, or your God might be, or my God, if whatever anybody's God. Just because we don't understand something doesn't mean it can't exist.
Well, we can understand it. We do understand it. We do understand when we explain what we mean by nothingness and non-existence. If we define non-existence means the absence of all existence, then you can't say then it brought it into existence while it was nothing. It is not a sensible thing to do, because we, in our search of the reality and truth, we have to have sound tools. We cannot totally have a tools in which we have in our disposal logic out of the window, reason out of the window, everything else, like saying I'm with blank slate. You know what? I can believe in a married bachelor. I can believe in the finite infinite. We have to have a starting point in which how we're going to search about the truth. In our reality, we can see that there are things which we can affirm as axiomatically sensible and acceptable, like the principle of non-contradiction. A thing cannot be and be at the same time. A cannot be A and not A at the same time. Principle of non-contradiction.
I suspect you have a bit of a scientific background as well, so you've probably heard of Schrodinger's cat.
It has nothing to do with example of principle of non-contradiction.
Right, but when you say something can't both exist and not exist at the same time, that's a fundamental principle of Schrodinger's cat.
I beg to disagree. You can tell me how this is so.
It's probability.
No, when we say, look, the cat, the experiment is laid such a way that, the moment an observer interferes, the cat is going to die anyway. Before all the interference, is the cat dead or alive is the question.
Yes.
Yeah, but at that point, the cat is neither dead or alive, it's only one of them.
But
We don't know doesn't mean,
which
no. My friend, it's not that it's both of them, it's our ignorance of it. If I have the same experiment in a transparent box, I can see the cat dead or alive or not. But the fact that the moment I see it's an observer interference, that's why I'm saying it's going to have to be not transparent. So it is not that the cat is either dead or not dead. Our ignorance, whether it's dead or not, the moment we look at it, it's going to die anyway. That's why we cannot say what it is. We're going to remain agnostic whether it was dead or not, but it couldn't have been both. It's our experimental design flaw in which the whole idea is a thought experiment to make sure you are curious about it, but there's a design flaw. You can make a better experiment, I'm sure, in the future in which our interference of our vision may be prevented from affecting it. The moment you're saying, and then you'll realize it's dead or alive or not, you can see it clearly. You can see it remotely. For example, the cat is not necessarily in that box, my photons coming from there directly. It's coming from my video camera, and so on and so forth. There's many ways you can improve this design. I mean, this is not my field.
No, that's okay. That's okay. And it's not my intent to put you on the back foot or try to prove you wrong. Because I respect your intellect and I see you have a background beyond what you might initially appear to have, that's wonderful. Which is also why I'd like to ask you, do you mind if I have a photo with you?
No problem, that's fine.
I'd love to. I respect what you're doing and who you are.
I appreciate you having a discussion. Okay, will I come closer? Yeah, of course, that's fine.
Do a couple.
Okay.
There you go.
Yes, please. Okay.
Done yet?
Okay.
Oh, no more.
There we go.
Okay, so there is.
I will have.
I know you have to go, but I just want to quickly wrap this up.
Yeah,
that
totally.
There is this
Well, it'll
principle of
never be over.
non-contradiction in which philosophers and scientists, they axiomatically have to accept. If we are going to operate in this world in searching for the truth, our scientific experiments would not make any sense if we did not accept that axiomatically. Our philosophical inquiry would not make any sense, because otherwise, if this was the case, you can believe in anything, right? Doesn't matter, contradictions are possible. So once we have these are axiomatically true, we will arrive that yes, nothingness cannot bring about existence. That means the existence which exists now must always exist from an existence going back, an existence to an existence. Either the universe or this cosmos has always been there in that, or the originator. Makes more sense that it comes from an originator who is always there with intent or volition and with power and choice and wisdom. And that's what we talk about. God describes, as I explained to you earlier on, that He is the originator of the heavens and the earth. He's the one and only absolute, perfect, and not deficient in any way. And He created us to, be grateful to Him and so on and so forth.
So definitely.
This is
thank you.
For you.
Definitely a believer in Big Bang Theory, right?
No, Big Bang is an approximate theory of our origin of our universe. I mean,
It's just an idea.
No, this is in no way contradicts our understanding of the reality depicted by the Quran, because the Quran actually says, it goes back, says, look, at one point the universe wasn't there. Then God created this universe, which was a singularity, meaning, didn't use the word singularity.
That's fine.
No, heaven and the earth was one piece.
Yes.
There was a partition, but that's not the end of it. That eventually it will be rolled back like a scrollless roll, and there will be another expansion, which will be forever and forever. So the Quranic cosmology is such that current science agrees with the universe at a common origin, agrees with, I'm not saying Quran agrees with current science, I'm saying current science agrees with the Quranic understanding.
Sure.
The universe is expanding. And there are some possibilities of the scientific Quran. Scientists are already, thinking about whether the universe is expand forever or it's going to contract, and whether there's going to be another expansion, and so on and so forth.
Keep doing what you're doing, my
All the
friend.
best. What's your name?
Rico.
Rico. Pleasure speaking to you.
Yours?
Mansoor.
Mansoor. Mansoor, shukran jazeela.
Afwan. Okay. Thank you. You take care. Take care, both of you.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.